Okay, everybody, listen up. Our next project, you are required to get a 9" by 9" piece of board paper like this. It's 9" by 9". You are going to do a border all around it with a pencil, a 1/2" border, a 1/2" border. What is that, like 1.27 centimeters? I don't know, something like that. But it's a 1/2" border all around. Then you are going to use your crayons, and the crayons that I have here, and you're going to cover it with crayon. Now you can do different kinds of patterns, and I'm going to show you with some examples here, but what we're creating is wax scratch boards. Wax scratch boards. So when I show you some of these examples, what I want you to do is kind of see that background and what it was or what it is, right? So for instance, when we look at this, right, we can see that it's checkered. Now, once you do the crayon, or you cover the background in a pigmented wax, because that's what crayon is, it's wax with pigment, okay? Once you've done that, and you've covered the white paper, you've got to cover the white paper. You can't leave any fibers of the white paper, because after you've done that, you're going to put black tempera paint on it. And it's water-based black paint, but it's black tempera paint with a little bit of dish soap. That helps the tempera paint grab onto the wax. Okay? So once you've done that and you have black, then when you start to scratch and you remove the black paint, you reveal the underneath colored wax. So you're building a wax protective coating. If you don't apply the crayon very well, the wax crayon very well, very hard, right, and you have white speckles, then every time you go and scratch, the black paint will not come off wherever the white fibers of the paper are. So that's why you got to do that. A lot of times what I say is go over a lot of area with a light color, like yellow. Or if you did red, you can go over the red in orange crayon. Right? And when you're putting on the crayon, you go in two directions. If you're going up and down, then you want to go left and right, or diagonal, diagonal, just so you can get in there in the different crevices of the texture of the paper. Now, what you can see here is a lot of nice designs, but what I want you to focus on first is that underneath pattern of color and how it's laid out, right? So what do we have here? Here we have like a blended spiral or a blended circle, kind of like a radial design, kind of target-like. Okay? Here we have, it's not necessarily checkered, but maybe just random triangles and shapes in here. So you can do that as well. Again, this one, they put the crayon a lot stronger than this one. Or you can say this one, they scratched too hard, too much, too long, and took away a lot of the pigment. Right? But you can see how nice it is and how it reveals. Now, let's look at this, right? We got line quality. That's part of our projects, right? We've been doing verticals, horizontals, rectilinears, curvilinears, and part of it has been, you know, line quality. Thick, thin, light, dark. So now when we do this project, I'm expecting to see variety, variations, thin scratches, thick scratches. Because when you look at this line, this black one, that's thick to thin, thick to thin. All right? Line variety. This one's very nice too. And you can see the way the crayon has been used in here. Now, many of you may be asking, okay, so what's the point of this? We've done the line. Look at this one with the checkering. We've done the line in our notebooks. We've been doing line quality. I thought this was a class where we're going to be working with ceramics, and we are. So the big picture is this. Before we can get to doing something like this, which is sgraffito, Italian, sgraffito, right? Let me see if I have it upside down. Yes, I do. All right. Before we get to this, we need to practice our lines. Then we need to practice scratching and revealing and being creative with pattern and texture and repetition. And then we can work on the clay doing sgraffito. For us, we're doing wax scratch boards, but when you do it on clay, it's called sgraffito. Okay? Now, what you see here is a tile that hasn't been glazed yet. So this is all white clay, okay? But this is black underglaze, and it's already been fired, so it's bisque. It's already been fired. At this point, the next stage from this is to put clear glaze, which is basically like liquid silica. And silica, when it's fired at high temperatures, fuses and turns into glass. Right? Glass comes from sand. I know some of you know it, some of you don't know it, but it does come from sand. All right? So before we get to this, this is where we're going. This is where we're going. We are first doing this kind of stuff. Right? So that we can get used to it. Repetition makes us comfortable, gives us confidence. Right? And I haven't decided if I'm going to do tiles or if we're going to do cups. Here we have, instead of stripes, we have curved stripes. Okay? It's very nice. And here we have as well different kinds of ribbons. So when we approach this project here, we're going to approach it like that, where you're going to be creating thick, thin, or ribbon-like lines. Rectilinear. Here you don't see that much rectilinear, but we're going to combine them all. All right? And to help you while you're working, I will hand out in every table some examples like this to give you, a sense of inspiration. Even though we all have pocket computers where you can look up, you can look up different kinds of patterning online on Pinterest. But sometimes, there's something about it physically being there in front of you and you looking at it versus opening up your computer or your phone and then you start text messaging and then before you know it, you've wasted 5 minutes and the original purpose of touching your phone was to get ideas for inspiration. So that's why sometimes having this on your table is still beneficial for you guys so that you're not easily distracted. Okay? So that's what's going on. Now, when you get this, there are many ways that you can mess up. For instance, here I would tell this student, okay, you're drawing the lines too dark. Light with pencil, very light. Lead does not get along with anybody else. Ever try drawing on top of lead? If you get a lead pencil and you make a nice black square with lead pencil, after that, you can't put crayon on top, you can't put paint on top, you can't put marker on top, you can't put whiteout on top. Nothing gets along with lead. So use your pencil very lightly. It's just a reference. Even the border, very lightly. You will use your ruler, the ruler that you're supposed to have as part of your materials for the class. Okay? What else? I think that's about it. But yes, how does your grade lower in this simple project of just even getting a grade for coloring it? Is you didn't do a ½ inch border going around. Your border is crooked. You don't know how to make a straight line with a ruler. Your line with the ruler goes like this. So it's like ½ inch here and all of a sudden 1 inch up on the top. These are details that if you can't get this right or that right, you cannot be anywhere in the ballpark of an A or B+. Just right off the bat. Right off the bat. So please be precise and do it correctly. And don't waste time because Friday I'm putting in the grade. I'm putting in the grade for coloring this. And then the next class I'm putting in the grade for painting it black. Some of you will be finished before Friday and painting it black on Friday, which is great. Okay? All right.